And we are live. Hello, Ryan.
Hi, how are you? I feel like this is going to be the power hour. I'm ready for it.
Yeah. I've been hinting you this recording for a while, so
hmm
I think it's time to take the sleeves off
Yeah.
and start working. Um First of all, before diving deep into the talk, I have no generally prepared questions. For
Yeah.
this one, I know that just like giving you a topic, it's just
hmm
gonna flow.
All right.
Um
Cool. Bring it.
But before that, when we record our first episode, you didn't answer because I didn't ask. Um, the main question I ask every guest, and that is, who is Ryan Summers? And as I always say, don't reply talking about work. This is not
Yeah.
about like work, the
hmm
industry. What this is about, like who you are.
I love that because I feel like most people don't think about that. I'll say I'll be very critical of myself. I feel like I am a perfection seeking people pleaser, which is kind of at the core of all of my internal friction. I want to make things as good as possible, but I also want to please people, and often those two things are actually in direct opposition to each other. And I'm working on both because I think like either one of those could be both a blessing and a curse, just at different times in your life or relationships or career. Um, but I've been able to see, I think, with the course of the last three, I've been on a very wild ride the last months, the last 3 months, where those things have held back some opportunities or things that I've always wanted and have always been a really big part of me. That those two things in particular, if they're even in isolation, would keep me from some things that I've wanted in my career. But both of them together have been like a potent cocktail of like gatekeeping the things that I'd like to achieve. So I don't know if that's an answer you're looking for, but it's been top of mind the last couple months for
No,
me.
no, it is a valid answer, and I find it very interesting because when you talked about like holding you back, when you said like I'm a perfectionist, like people pleaser, the first question I that like popped into my head was like, in that list of people you want to please, are you included?
Oh, never, never, and that's
You
been a
know?
very large revelation the last 3 months. Never, never, absolutely never. I think that's why one may inform the other a little bit. This is totally turning to therapy. But the perfection seeking has its reasons. Some of them are ego, some of them are like nature and nurture. And then the people pleasing is the same thing, but I think they both almost like force a form of stasis on you, creatively, entrepreneurially, in relation, whatever you want to call it, relationships, friendships. Um, it's been very interesting to see those two things kind of revealed at the same time.
Yeah. I think also like you are currently living a momentum that is kind of like let's say that sets up the frame for you to like think about all these things.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Um, so now moving on to the main topic
I love how
of,
that's the little question before the main topic.
yeah. That was the
It's
easy
great.
one. I mean, this
Yeah.
is not a question. It's more mostly like I'm gonna announce the topic I wanted to talk with you for a while
Mhm.
because it's something we've been bouncing back and forth for like in our discussions.
Mhm.
And you can summarize the topic in one word, which is trust. And
I love that.
I know you've been through some stuff recently, and you might wanna or not share about it.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think that the word trust encompasses in our industry something way bigger than what happened to you. It's almost like a social contract.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and with all the changes that have been happening recently, well, trust has been also like changing and suffering in some aspects.
Mhm.
And I'm sure there's going to be a lot to say about it. So I will let you
Mm.
open the floor and I will bounce as always.
I mean, so many ways you could go about that. I mean, I feel like just that word alone goes to the heart of I think why I've had a lot of different, like, creative careers, or I've been in a lot of different fields within, like, kind of creative careers. And one of the things I've always loved about motion design as a field is just the community versus working in gaming, working in feature films, working in VFX, all those different things all have positives, but also, like, what I've never really felt in those places, other than the short amount of time I worked in, like, animation, like actual animation, um, was just this sense of a very positive, very selfless community. Like, when I worked in gaming, I always felt this really strong rift between the people who are the programmers or the developers and the artists for a lot of different reasons, right? Like programmers are the people who actually have to take all these crazy ideas and make them work. I get it. I also felt like there's just a lot of like coveting of tools and gatekeeping and telling you what could or couldn't get done, or limiting the creative side by the programmers or developers, and some of that was short sighted on my point of view as well, because I didn't understand like the full like ask when I was asking somebody to change something, thinking it was easy on like a development or programming side for a game. But there was just this like the entire industry was kind of bifurcated between like management, developers, and artists or creative. Um, and visual effects, it felt like this really crazy dog eat dog world where there were new people that were looked kind of like down upon or almost treated like fresh meat. And then there were the middle level people who were either just trying to settle into a career where they could take care of their kids or their families and make it a career and not just like a short stint somewhere. And those were even divided with the people who are like, I'm trying to become a soup. And when I was in VFX, supervising a lot of times started turning into client side supervising, where like the studios or the production companies would hire a middle level person from like a VFX shop to kind of like tell the shops what they could or couldn't do. Right. So there was just a lot of like animosity. It was also when we were trying to like unionize, which so that maybe also clouded my judgment or my view. But when I finally landed in motion design, I was just so pleasantly surprised by how, for the most part, it felt like everybody was in it together. You never heard anybody covet a tool or a technique. Um, it was always just this sense of sharing, this sense of lifting each other up, this sense of, did you see this new thing? Oh, well, let's tell everybody about this new thing. When someone has a win, you felt like everybody celebrated the win together. Um, and I love that. And I felt like for 10 years, 15 years, however long, up until maybe the last year or so, I really felt like that was holding true and it was like a defining factor for the industry. And I feel like in kind of like hindsight, a lot of that, and people will be mad when I say this, I think, but like a lot of that felt like it was because we had it relatively easy compared to a lot of those other related fields or industries like creative professionals. Because at the end of the day, we had so many more potential clients. Like if you think about visual effects, they have like 6 clients, right? Like there's only so many studios, and maybe you get a couple streamers, but then you lose a studio. But like there was a very limited amount of people that you could push back against, or that you could say no, or you could fight for yourself, or even try to represent yourself. In motion design, if you had a bad client, you could fire that client and go and find 2 more waiting for you. Especially during the COVID years, when people just needed motion designers to make stuff because they couldn't shoot anything. And I think we kind of almost just expected that's the way it's always going to be. And I think, just coming back to that word, it's easy to have trust when work is coming in and you see your pathway, and you have heroes or you have examples where you can see how money can be made or what the steps are. And I feel like in the last year or so, it's the first time I felt like there's just, in our industry, a resetting back to what I felt was normal in other ones. Like there's a certain level of like, I don't know who I can trust. I don't know if this person's selling me a bill of goods that's bullshit. I don't know if this person that used to be a motion designer that's now like an influencer, if their community is something that can actually help me, or it's just a way for me to spend $1,000 a year on their service. I don't know if the freelancer I'm about to hire is going to not ghost me. I don't know if the person on my team that's staff is double or triple booking themselves. I don't know if the person who says that they can do what they can do actually did what they did or can do it. I think, and I'm not just speaking just on ours, but I think in every direction, there's just the first stages of just maybe it's maturing and just not having, like sunlight in your eyes, thinking everything's great. But I do feel like there's a certain level of, I have to stop and think if I can trust this happening, or if what's being said is true, or if I should follow that person, and it's all happening at the same time where it's like it's harder to find work, and what work is defined by and what the value is for the work is changing and being, for lack of a better term, I hate this word, disrupted, right? So I don't know if any of that lines into like what you were thinking about when you said like, tell me what you think of the word trust. Um, but I feel like just in the industry in general, there's that's a really good word to bring up right now.
So, I'm gonna bounce first on something you mentioned. Um, I think motion design was in its puberty phase, when everything is exciting, hormones are exploding, and you experiment and whatever. Um, and now we are kind of like, yeah, more grown ups, let's say, as an industry, and we're going through the phases that older industries already went through and are still going through some of them. You mentioned VFX, like that's a typical one where it's rough. You're considered like meat for the cannon because
Mhm,
it's crunch time all the time. It's very intense. Um, you might be fired at any time, and people are like fiercely fighting to like keep their seat or being like like you're saying, become a soup or whatever. Um,
mhm,
so I think like the the like the um happy joy phase of motion is kind of like
yes.
it's kind of like over now,
Yeah.
and it's back to real world.
Mhm,
So that's one thing I wanted to say, but like to me, trust kind of like branches even like deeper than those levers you already mentioned.
mhm,
Like to me, um, it kind of like the concept of what we consider something or a company that we can trust, or an
mhm,
employer. Um, all of that has gone through the window. You know, even like you used to trust the process of being hired.
mhm,
You knew that you would apply. Certainly, there would have been discrimination and stuff like that, but you knew at least you would get a reply. Like, sorry, you're not a good fit.
mhm,
Goodbye. And well, all of those, like, let's say, behaviors or like that code of conduct that established a relationship of trust is like, okay, I didn't got picked, but that person replied me in a
mhm,
polite manner or whatever. Um, doesn't exist anymore. Um, it's been unveiled now that systems that use AI to triage all the applicancies for jobs discriminate even worse than before. Um, as employees, the social contract with your employers has been broken, uh, and the other way around too. Like employers have a really hard time to find people that are like reliable, that are honest on what they
mhm.
know how to do. Like they know their knowledge, sorry, on artistic skills, on technical skills. It's like yeah, it's like a cricket box, you know? It's everybody screaming and nobody trusts anyone
Mhm,
anymore. And like to me that has like some very dramatic repercussions on our industry as a whole. Um because yeah, people are not investing themselves in the work as much as, I mean, some do, but like like less and less people are investing themselves as I think they should, because there's no trust. It's like, why would I like give everything when I don't even get a thank you? Or why should I give this person everything when she's not giving me back in
mhm,
return what was like asked? And like, it's like, and all of that has brought us to a moment now where it's like, again, like I say, it's like a cricket box. It's just like an insane amount of noise. Everybody's trying to make their voice heard,
mhm.
but like look at your LinkedIn feed. Like, honestly, 90% of what I see there, I don't believe it anymore. It's like, it's already written by AI. So it's they're not, that people are not even like writing their own thing. And everybody is like a six-figure company, like disrupting the world. And really, everyone, all of them, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, I hear about all these things, and I think it's good for people to say things out in public that they feel, and less in, like, private Discord servers and Slacks, 'cause it's interesting seeing how we all act when we don't know if anybody's listening, and versus, like, when we think we're putting our best foot forward and expressing things. Um, I guess my counter to some of this is, like, and this is maybe based on having worked in visual effects or film animation, like places that are maybe they've been around longer, they're more mature than the field of motion design. But, I would love to know what people's expectation is of, like, an optimal relationship with an employer that's realistic, that could really actually happen. Because I know I had that. I know I probably, again, speaking about being a perfectionist and a people pleaser, I feel like I probably dedicated an extra 10 years in my career because I had a false sense of what the entire relationship was between, like, a studio and an employer. I feel like I got very lucky being at the very, like, at the back end of, like, some of the golden ages of some studios where there was money and there were flow of jobs that allowed for what I think should be a structure of a studio that identifies, raises, supports, and grows their team. I apologize for people who aren't into sports, but I do feel like, at least I was very lucky to be there, that the best studios have a capability and a responsibility to identify young talent, hire that young talent, put them into an infrastructure that allows them to make mistakes in a safe space, to grow, to identify if they want to be an amazing on the box person or a leadership person or a management person or a client facing person, and help them through that entire experience. I would say I think that that's gone, and it has been for a while. And we're now just seeing the results of this massive switch in the last 4 or 5 years to, I don't even have to have staff. I can just have freelancers. Why do I have to carry, why do I have to have production coordinators and PAs and interns and juniors? They take forever. They're slow. It costs so much. There's insurance. I understand the business reasons for it, but we all applauded that as an industry and said, this is a new way of doing business. Everybody can work from anywhere as a freelancer. But I think we're seeing the knock on effects, and the lack of trust from both sides is based on studios abandoning what I think when we were coming up was the de facto standard. Like when I walked into Imaginary Forces, they had a regular internship program with 4 different schools in LA. You constantly were seeing new young blood coming in, asking to be mentored, expecting to be given opportunities, and there was a hierarchy. There was a career path that was accepted, outlined, and agreed upon. Of like, you can come in as a PA, you can come in as a junior, you can come in as a assistant editor, and then maybe you'll get some flame time. And then when you spend some time on the flame, you realize like, oh man, that person's got great ideas. Have them next to a creative director as like a junior CD. Sit in the meetings, don't say anything, and spend hours during the weeks talking with a creative director. Why did you do that? Or could I pitch something? And there's just this fuel and this friction and this process that both sides benefited from. And I'm not saying that those don't exist anywhere, but I don't think the majority of studios that exist now, A, feel like they can afford that, have the time to manage it, or think that that's a competitive advantage anymore. It's not my place to say if that's right or wrong, but I do feel like, from my perspective, is like you're seeing the blowback from it. You're seeing a lot of people come out of school as freelance art directors, and they don't spend time getting seasoned in front of clients. You're seeing studios full of 45, 50-year-old white dudes and a bunch of freelancers, random warm bodies who come in whenever they can get whoever they can get, for as long as they can get them for as cheap as they can get them. You don't have that muscle memory of working every day with the same person, understanding their interest and going to lunch and watching when you walk by being like, what did you just do? What is that? Or what was that reference? Or everybody gets lunch in at the office and sits around, the conference room table, and there's an hour worth of just showing stuff that people found interesting. and be like, oh, I could use that, or oh, maybe we could do a studio project that gives us this capability. If we can make, I don't think a lot of that is really going on right now, and I don't know if that's necessarily right or wrong, but I feel like when you start talking about trusts, at least at the studio level, there's a whole other conversation to say about agencies and brands. Um, but just at the studio level for the field of motion design, we dismantled the way work was done. Some of it wasn't our choice, some of it was. And I
Yeah,
feel like we're seeing the effects of that.
I would add to what you just said that like also is how people are valued. Um,
Mhm.
because not only that, like you said, that that whole system was dismantled, but it's also the fact that like in VFX or like let's say if you work at Pixar or stuff like that, you're just a number, you know? Like you're part of you're a cog in the machine. And that like makes you feel in a way discardable. And I think these all these studios that you mentioned that had their golden age, um first of all, you had the you I mean you I would say you had the feeling that what you were doing mattered and that your voice counted, you know? Even if it was like a very small amount of what you could bring to the table, that was valued. And like you said earlier, like celebrated. And people will help you like rise up. Um, but I do feel that on both sides of the spectrum, so either on the agency side or like studio, let's say studio side, but also on the freelancer side, you're looking across the fence um, without that like that feeling of I don't want to use the word respect, but like you're not valuing properly like or accordingly the person you have in front of you, you know? Um and that like to me like as soon as you start like you don't value the person that's in front of you, the whole relationship detriments. And again, like trust cannot exist. Um and brings like it erodes all the rest of the machine, you know? And like you said, like um being in a studio, being around people and everything helps like build that cohesion. But I've seen studios that has like a that have like an insane turnaround. Like every 2 3 months or like every 6 months, it's a whole different team.
Mhm.
So there's no way to build that that body, you know, like that kind of like level of communication because every X amount of months it's new people. Nobody knows each other again. So you start the whole process all over again, which is insane.
Mhm. Well, and I mean, see that's an interesting thing because I think every studio has its own culture, right? And it's hard for me to like having been at a lot of different studios, like there's similarities across the board that they all share. But these studios for the most part are so small and so personality driven by someone who started as an artist and maybe found another friend that was an artist and they start a studio and then they grow and grow and they do what they do. I guess what I'm learning now in the the point of my career is that like pretty much every company, not just like studios in motion design or visual effects shops or animation studios or even entertainment companies, no no one has any idea what the fuck they're doing. Literally no one does. Pre-AI, pre-streaming, pre any of these places that we make stuff for. And now you complicate it with all these new disruptions or challenges. You realize that it's just Wizard of Oz. Like the emperor has no clothes. There's just people who have a hunch or an instinct and then enough bravado or ego to make it look like they know what they're doing. Like very few actual places that we would ever go work for have like a solid game plan and can tell you every 3 months what their revenue is going to be, tell you what their operating expenses are, and can give you a good solid range of like where the company's going to end up year to year. Like studios, agencies, brands, entertainment companies, sports team, like no one really knows. We're making it up as we go on as educated guesses as we can. So like from that top high level, what my reaction now, my response, especially in the last 3 months, is like the good thing about all this is like we can lament about like no one trusts us or people. Like I'm always like, hey, our business isn't run like a business. When is it going to grow up? Is always my problem. The counter to that I'm now learning is like, well, you know what is great is that the barrier to entry to actually be a change agent for yourself is that it is very easy to start your own company. It's very easy to start your own practice. It's very straightforward to go and find your own clients, and you make those decisions on how you will be trusted and how you will trust others. Because at some point, like I've spent however many years, 20 years trying to find the studio that's the right fit for me, find the studio that values me, find the studio that will pay me what I feel like I bring to the table in actual monetary value. And my biggest epiphany in the last 3 months is no place will pay you what you are actually worth, except for you. And no one else is going to advocate for you to make more money as well as you will. So like I have this problem in the United States where there are a lot of people who spend their whole day worrying about the national level news and oh god what's going to happen here, and I think it's important to be informed. The vast majority of those people also don't know shit level 1 about what's going on in their local government. They don't know their alderman, they don't know their ward, they don't know how to affect actual change in the closest place that they actually spend their time in day to day, and I feel like motion design is somewhat in a lot of ways similar. Like, we worry about these big "Oh my god, oh my god, Disney just fired these people. Oh my god." It's like, yeah, but what can you control? What can you affect change? Right? You know, like I will take you for this and it's fine. I've had a lot of people say to me like, "Why the fuck do I have to learn how to be a business? I just want to be an artist. Can't I just be a freelancer?" And I'm like, "Wait a second. You can't have both of those. You're saying you want a job. Just leave me alone and be an artist." Well, then you have to deal with what it's like to be an employee then. Could it be better? Should it be better? Do you have the freedom to try to find the right place? Yes. But if you're a freelancer, you are a business. By the definition of it. You have choices to make. You have things you have to do besides putting pen to Wacom tablet and creating pixels for money.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
nature of the job.
But you know that I think there is still a difference between being a freelancer and becoming a studio. Because through the podcast,
I agree. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
interviewed people that like were creatives, then started a studio, and some of them kept going, and some others really realized that like this is not for me. Like I don't want to be running a studio. I don't handle it well, and it's not good for my health. So I'm going to do something else. And that's like, so I think like you say, you can create your opportunities. Certainly, I think that as a studio, of course, you will be doing more direct to client work. When you're a freelancer, that can happen, but generally you're mostly working with studios or agencies or production companies because nowadays clients want, again, talking about trust, they want to feel that the company they are outsourcing this job, this work, is reliable and it's not going to disappear tomorrow, which we both know even the studio can disappear tomorrow
Yeah. Everything can. Right.
nowadays. Um, but
The
I think
company
like,
you're working for can disappear tomorrow.
yeah,
The brand you're working, the agency. I mean, that's what I mean about it. Anything can disappear tomorrow because no one knows what they're doing.
but what I was going to say is that nobody, like, we are in this era with where everybody's, like you say, is showing their better profile, and trying to sound smart and slick, and
Mhm.
nobody is having kind of like the necessary down to earth conversations, or just being like blatantly honest on the conditions or the things that are going on. um like I genuinely appreciate when it's true, of course. um when I get reached out by a nonprofit and they said like, we would like to do this project. This is the money we have, and we know it's super tight. Um, but I mean, are you interested? You know,
Mhm,
and 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 I'm like, okay, and it's up to me to decide if those terms are good or not, if I accept them or not, the amount of work I want to put in, and all those things.
mhm,
Um, but the other side of the coin is like nobody's having those like honest frontal conversations. It's not talking about only about money, but about the working conditions
mhm,
or yeah, I know Unreal, but like, do I really know Unreal? Like, and nobody's having those like because let's say you could have a conversation like, okay, do you really know Unreal for this gig? Well, I've worked on this and this and this, but like this aspect of the software is still unknown to me. And if you have the guts to say that, sure, they might say, well, we'll pass on you this time because we need somebody that really like knows the in and outs of that part of the software. It's vital, it's a short turnaround, and that's understandable. But they might very well also say like, you know what, like this project is kind of like long in the timeline. And we have another guy that is like really good at it. So come in and you will also learn a couple things along the way.
mhm.
But since you're not having that conversation, nobody will ever know on either side.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, it's so funny because 'cause we're talking about trust, but I feel like the only time trust happens is when people actually have real relationships, and, real relationships only happen when people are having, like, continued conversations of honesty, right? And I have this conversation, right? I do my open office hours, I talk to, I don't know, 2 to 3 people a day during my lunch hour, most days of the week, 5 days a week, and so many people will ask me the question, "Why am I not getting work?" And my first thing is to look at the demo reel, right? Because at the end of the day, you get hired for what you can do when you're starting out, at least. And then fairly quickly, most of the time, the second conversation, third conversation with the person after you're working on their demo reel, they'll go away and then they'll come back 6 months later, like, I'm still not getting work. I'm like, okay, well, your new job is to start forging relationships. And the response was like, I hate networking. Fucking networking sucks. And I was like, well, then maybe you shouldn't be doing this because, like, everything that I've ever seen people have massive success, the work is like the thing that lets you have a door that opens. The relationship is what lets you take the step through. And I've had people get really pissed off where it's like, hey, like, I would love to help you work on your relationship building, help you work on your lead generation, but it's going to have nothing to do with your on the box skills. So stop asking me questions about the next software to learn. Unless you know you have 3 targets that need a specific thing that you can demonstrate mastery in, or at least 2 steps above where their capability is, let's actually start talking about the things that will actually help you get on people's radar and build trust, create relationships, and then you're in the back of their mind all the time, and they're rooting for you, being like, "Man, I cannot wait to get a job that needs Rive because I know the guy that I wanna bring in for Rive." That's the mental flip you have to do. That's the thing you have to start, like, working towards. At some point, like, no more working on your reel will make a difference. I know people whose reels are average to below average that constantly get booked all the time because they've invested so much time in their relationships, and not in fake, hacky, influencer coach tricks. These 10 tricks will get you your first job in 3 days. Like, relationships, like, real things. Like, I know how much you and I have a shared, like, love for certain comic book authors, certain artists, right? Because you and I have put the time together to just nerd out about that, to talk about that. Not because I had on my to-do list, all right, I'm going to spend 7.5 minutes today reaching out to Augustin to talk about Hellboy because that will get me on my checklist 4 days closer to him
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
hired. Like that again, like that is part of the job, right? Like I say this all the time. I love the word service. Like, and I think it's a dirty word to most people. And I think it's a big point of friction for a lot of people. Like, at our best, our industry is a service industry. There are people with problems who have fear or trepidation or a blind spot in their taste that don't know how to connect what they're selling to the people that need it, right? We can be of service to those people because of what we do have. But like, to be in service, you have to be able to, like, build those relationships. You have to be able to speak to them. You have to be able to identify them. You have to be able to find people on LinkedIn that are posting about something and find a way for them to understand, again, like a demo reel in the briefest, specific, and most memorable way. Oh, Augustin's the person I need to call when I needed something that looks like Hellboy or whatever it is, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. But to be honest,
then that's trust.
I haven't cut a demo reel in a couple of years now because I find other ways to connect with my clients.
Well,
And
I would like to just put a pause, like you saying that. Anyone listening to this, be very honest to yourself right now. How much does that piss you off when you hear him say that? I've been able to get lots of clients and I haven't made a demo reel in X amount of years because that is trust. That is you being very trusting to your audience right now and saying, like, hey, look at my website. That isn't how I got my job. Does that piss you off if you're listening to this right now?
I mean, I shared my website, and there's like certainly a certain display of projects there that I consider okay or like good enough to put online. But I don't cut a reel anymore, um, because I don't see the value in it anymore. It's like sometimes I watch demo reels and I see a shot that lasts for, I don't know, 15 images, and I see that and it looks cool. And when I go and check the project,
Hmm.
the rest of it is not at all on par with the
Yeah.
quality of those like 10 images. And so
Hmm.
that to me generates like disappointment
Yeah.
because I'm like, all right, this seemed like cool, but then if you can be, I mean, I'm not hiring somebody to give me just 10 images of quality.
Yeah.
I'm hiring a person because they can give me quality throughout the whole thing.
I mean, do you know what I do when I have to look at a bunch of demo reels, like during the lunch hour and I have like 50 demo reels? I go to the middle of the demo reel and I scrub 3 seconds forward and 3 seconds back because that's the truest test of somebody's actual work. Everybody puts the best thing first or puts the second best thing last, and then they just hope there's enough in the middle to keep your attention until you see their name at the end. But like to me, I want to make something really clear is that I know anybody who's listened to this is like, well, you guys are two old fucks just talking about the way you want the business to be. What are you talking about relationships and the demo reel doesn't mean anything? My school told me the demo reel is how I get my job or whatever it might be, right? Or there's a class at School of Motion that says I have to make a demo reel. I can tell you that a good amount of the people that I've hired at entry level positions are because they're an amazing connector. They know people I don't know. They know someone who did this thing because they were in school and they were just the connector in their class who knew all the different people, or they just had an interest level in things I have a blind eye to because of what I'm doing right now. Or they had some crazy obsession that had nothing to do with their demo reel or the thing I'd hire for, but they would be on like a force multiplier to have in my team because of their interests, their energy, their connections, their curiosity to what it is we do. Those are the things we're talking about right now. We're not talking about being in the industry for 20 years and having a Rolodex full of 500 people or a LinkedIn with 10,000 connections. Part of it is just how do I get to know you as a person so I can root for you, so I can know you bring something that nobody else would bring. And that doesn't necessarily have to be like my demo only has School of Motion tutorials on it right now. I guess I can't get a job. There's so many other things you can also consider as part of that. And if we're talking about trust, that's like a fast, if there is a hack, that is a fast track to trust, right? Like right now with Joel Pilger, I'm teaching a whole course on lead flow. And the first thing I'm teaching a class to 30 owners of studios. And the first conversation we had, they were all fucking pissed off at me because I said the first thing to getting lead flow is put down your website, stop working on your demo reel, answer these 20 questions about yourself. Are you happy? Why did you get in the industry? Are you where you thought you would be? What's the first thing you think of when you think about what you want to do when there's no assignment? What are these things? What are you obsessed with? What do you love? What music are you into? What kind of artists do you admire when you were starting out in school? All this stuff and reconnecting back to that to then go find the people out on LinkedIn and in the world that share those interests and obsessions and views and opinions and instincts. And it has nothing to do with your studio's positioning or your demo reel or how many fucking awards you've received. Nobody cares. You want to talk about stuff nobody cares about on LinkedIn?
Yeah, awards,
No
man.
one cares
Dude,
about hearing your awards.
dude.
They don't, right? So like to me, again, trust is about relationships. Trust is about you and us, not me. And that's the mistake I see a lot of people doing on LinkedIn or in their promotion. It's all about, I am so happy to have worked on this because I made this thing that did this thing and did. It's like, that's noise to so many people because all they hear is I. They don't hear, well, what did you do for your client? What was your client's problem? What did you solve? How did you help them? Where was the collaboration? Right? Like that is trust. You're if you could flip your mindset, even in the posts you make on LinkedIn or how you just respond to people on LinkedIn, that slowly builds trust with people because they recognize, oh, you're giving me the shine. You're sharing something with me. You connected me to something. Oh, you helped me find somebody that I could interview for a job. Oh, that is trust.
Like the TV show The Bear.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, like there's this. I mean, for I'm not going to spill the whole thing for people that haven't seen the show, but there's this character that is obsessed with this like Japanese photography of a Japanese garden
Hmm.
with the rocks and the sand, and he has like this epiphany because like the whole meaning of the thing is like the rocks cannot be moved, and what's connecting them is the sand, and he's been struggling with his personality and who he is and his career, and then he has like this epiphany where he goes like he's talking to these old guys and like, you know what, like he explained the whole concept of the picture, and the guy's like, yo, where do you want to go with this? It's like,
Hmm.
well, I think I'm the sand. I'm the thing connecting the rocks,
Hmm.
you know? And I thought that I immediately thought about that when you talked about being a connector.
Hmm.
Um, and the thing of like also I think the attitude does a lot. I think
Hmm.
it's like I rather talk to somebody that like will piss me off because they're gonna be direct and like
Hmm.
honest than somebody that, sorry, Ryan, will be trying to please me
Yeah. Yeah.
and caress me, like in the
Hmm.
like and saying like, yeah, oh no, this is amazing, and then and this is great, and at some point I'm like, no, this is not great. Like let's get down to business and talk the real gritty, needy stuff. And that's when you can also like know if you align with people,
Hmm.
you know, if like you connect as a person,
Yeah.
if you share stuff together, or maybe you don't, but you can really feel that you can trust that person
Hmm.
because of the way he or she is interacting with you.
I mean, there's an equivalent to what you're saying to just the way people show their work, right? Like the people pleasers of the world in terms of like the work, and I'm saying this as a person who's guilty of it both as a person and as an artist earlier in my career. The people who like have a website or a demo reel and there's like one shot of every possible thing you could ever be hired to do in motion design, and they just say generalist. And then you ask them like, "Cool, so what is it you wanna do?" Like, I need to show everything because I don't wanna miss any opportunity. If I could do roto, I don't want somebody to tell me to pass by my website or my reel because I didn't show roto. And I was like, "You don't understand that, like, by doing that, you just become noise. Or at the very best, you just become a commodity to a potential person who could hire you, right? There's no trust. They see you as just like a, oh, when I'm in trouble, this person can do it quick or they can do it cheap or at the last second needs to make revisions. That's my firefighter, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that inherently. I also don't think that that's what most people come to me and complain about not getting enough jobs or kind of work want to do with their lives. So it's not slagging off anybody who is truly a generalist. That's like, this is what I do. But when I get people be like, oh, I get hired to do all this stuff and I don't really like doing it, I'm like, okay, let's go look at your reel. Let's go look at your site. You're people pleasing. You're people pleasing because you're just trying to say, and no one will remember that. And if you actually, maybe even if you just take a risk and be like, I'm going to make a separate site because all I want to do is character animation with Duick. But I'm afraid if I put that on there, I'll go slow. But like, no one knows you want to do that because it's two shots in a 30-second reel. And nobody would ever think of you as a character, even though in the back of your head, that's all you want to do. Stop people pleasing. And maybe you don't have to risk it all by just making, but like maybe you make a separate identity under a name and you make a character animation site. And all of a sudden you slowly start saying, like, I'm not going to be a people pleaser. I'm going to go after this. I will guarantee you'll be way more remembered for that within a year. There's an amazing artist named Bobby Donald that I worked with a couple times on demo reels. And he showed me a reel and it was kind of like a little bit of everything. But if I remember correctly, he had two or three of these like amazing, like what looked like 2D effects, like cool smoke and fire and flame, but he was doing it all with like procedural tools and After Effects. And after the second time we worked, I was like, you know, Bobby, I would love to see like a 20-second reel that's just this crazy shit that I know that's what you spend all your time doing. And you're putting all this other work that you've been assigned to just try to get work. And I swear to God, like in the last year or two, he's been posting so much stuff, and his entire identity is built around I'm the kind of like 2D effects guy in After Effects that's not hand drawn, but looks like it. And now I think that's pretty much all he does. And I see him posting stuff that gets crazy amounts of reactions on LinkedIn. And he's just doubled down on like being brief, specific, and memorable. And he's created trust. He's created identity. He's created branding by just like being like, well, for people to trust me, they need to know who I am. And I need to speak to that. And I need to connect to as many people. And I know he's had lots of conversations like he's had with me, or like we're having here, where he just has conversation. I saw you did this really cool project. I'd love to know if you have 10 minutes. I'd love to get on Zoom and find out how you achieved it, because I'm trying to learn how to do that too. And that's not him working on his reel. That's not him learning Nuke. That's him building trust by being a person and building relationships. Um, so I think it's totally possible. I've seen it happen so many times where I do feel like we're living in a world where like we're inundated with doomsdaying. And I'm not saying that that's not justified to feel nervous or scared, but like I also don't see a lot of the energy being bounced back out to like, well, if this is the way it is, here's some ways I can combat it. Here's some ways I can go against it. Here's some ways I can do something different. And I feel like I always want to just bring out these examples that I do see of people who are out there building relationships, building trust, starting from nothing and having an instinct or an obsession, and turn it into like now they're on this career path. They're on a thing where they're going the way they wanted to go.
And I would say also like building trust like goes pair to pair with like daring and taking risks. Um it's like this very good friend that is fucking it up, and the way you show you're a real friend is by showing up and going like, dude, like, come on, you're fucking it up.
Hmm.
He won't be happy for sure. But
Yeah.
then afterwards, he will for sure remember who was the only one that told him or her that she was fucking it up.
I mean,
And
I think you,
that to me
yeah,
has like an immense value. Like
yeah.
the person that has the guts to put on the table their relationship because they think that yeah, this is for your best interest. It's not their best interest,
Yeah.
it's your best interest.
Yeah.
And that's like something I always like also discuss when I'm talking with clients and they come up with like feedback that I think will like literally destroy what they're trying to achieve.
Hmm.
And the argument is like that I always say is like at the end is like, you know what, like don't go thinking that I'm saying this because I want this to be the way I want it to be.
Right. Right.
I'm just giving you this advice because I think it's the best thing for you.
Hmm.
If you take this other path, I think you're just burning money.
Hmm.
So then if you then still want to go the other path, then it's okay. But it was my duty to tell you
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. And I think so. I think what you've described is like a key thing that I've been feeling a lot is that you described the exact difference between an acquaintance and a friend, between someone you recognize and someone you remember. Like, I think as an industry, we are spending collectively way too much time in the crowd, listening to all the cricket box, the crickets chirping, and like imagine you're in the middle of a street of people going every direction, and we're just all just sitting and listening to snippets of everything going by as fast as it can. It sounds scary and it sounds frightening. We don't hear the calm people. We don't hear the complacent, the happy people. We just hear the fear, the negative, the doomsday, just because we're standing in the middle of the crowd and we've just basically placing ourselves continually into the Discord servers, onto the Slacks, into the influencer shit on YouTube, all the podcasts that are doomsday, all that stuff. And like we're not touching grass and just going out into the middle of the forest and speaking to a trusted friend, a real relationship. Like we literally did at Camp Mograph, right? Like
Yeah.
bit up by mosquitoes, but like we spent an hour just literally being like, what do you think of all this crazy shit that's going on? And I think if you spend too much time in the crowd, you just become part of that crowd and you disconnect from yourself, right? Like you just become one of those floating voices, and then you're adding to the din. I'm not saying that it's not shitty right now. I'm not saying that it's not wildly more difficult, but there still are clients. There still are relationships. There still are like 50,000 brands out there that don't know you exist and need something you could do, but you're not doing the work to get them to connect to that, right? Like, and you don't have other people around you. Like, replace so much of this noise with like 5 trusted friends that are on the same journey as you for like 3 months. Just try it. Just try not going on LinkedIn, try not going to your normal digital places that you're spending all your time complaining or doomsdaying or worrying about, and just get with like 5 other people that are like, are you a freelancer trying to start a studio? Are you full-time trying to go freelance? And like meet and talk, and don't make it all about like the wins. Talk about the shit that's going down and talk about your fears. And then be like, cool, I'm afraid of this. Do we know anybody that's made it past this? And go find that person and talk to that person and find out how they got past it. Because there are opportunities, right? Like the thing I keep on saying right now is that I feel like the freelancers, the artists, the studios who are actually doing well right now, but aren't talking about it out of fear of like making people who aren't doing well feeling bad, are actually doing a huge disservice to us. Because as those, I know studios that are doing better than they have in the last 5 years. I know freelancers that are killing it at scale. There's lots of people. No one wants to talk about it because there are people who are doing bad. But what's happened is that goes away, and all you hear is the doomsday in LinkedIn and the influencers and the thought leaders selling you shit. And it just has this distorted view of what's actually going on. Is it hard? Yes, there's no disqualifying that. Are there people doing really well that you could be learning from? Yes, but you have to go and find them because they're not talking about it. They're not, whether it's because they don't want to feel like they're bragging, or they don't want to jinx it, or they don't know why they're doing well, but they are, or they're just busy. We don't hear the things, the stories that are on the opposite end of all of this. I got laid off. IBM shut down these people. Microsoft's fired this. These two things merged and closed the division. We hear that ad nauseum for a lot of different reasons. But we don't hear the other stuff. We don't hear the people trying something new that's succeeding. We don't hear people who are like, I got an AOR and I just hired 2 more animators. Like, it doesn't come out. It doesn't filter out.
Yeah, I think that I think partly it's by design, because when things bring hope, people rally behind that, and it uplifts everybody. We're not currently, sadly, in a society. That's another topic, but in a society that is uplifting people. We're in a society that is like pushing you down. But that's a different thing. But going back to what you were saying about like building those bonds, to me, like something that like really shows me, whatever it's a friend, a colleague, a client, if I can have trust in them, is in the conversations. We always talk about work, but I always like to also bring like my persona into the conversation, so other conversations spark, and we
Mhm.
talk about personal things.
Yeah.
And to me, like the thing that like proves me clearly that person cares is X amount of time later, when that conversation comes back again, does that person remember
Mhm.
what we talked, what we
Yep.
discussed? Uh, if it like it clearly doesn't, it's that person doesn't give a fuck. This is purely a commercial relationship,
Mhm.
and that's fine. That those exist, and we have to live with them. Um, but it's like when you and I talk, and even if you mention something like very briefly that happened with your kid or something like that, I remember. And then
Mhm.
a few weeks later, what do I do? I send you an email or a message, and I
Yep.
tell you like, "Hey, how's the kid going?"
Mhm.
You know, um,
And that's a
and
relationship. That's being a human
yeah,
being,
then that's
right?
a
Like,
relationship.
mhm.
And it can, like I mean, and it can be something like very very mundane, you know,
Mhm.
but that will prove to your client or to your employee or to your freelancer that the relationship is not purely financial. We are
Mhm.
we are creative beasts, you know, and as much as we would like to say that we also run a business and this that has to be completely detached from emotions, we are emotional creatures. Like
Mhm.
the very work we do is based on emotions.
Yeah.
So um we have to nurture, like, you have to nurture those emotions, whatever they are. Um, I mean, of course, like a client will have different emotions than a freelancers and stuff like that. But you have to nurture those things because then people feel listened, and they feel that what they said was heard and taken into account. And again, I come back to this idea of like feeling valuable.
Mhm.
Even your client needs to feel valuable.
I would say especially your client
Yeah, 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 yeah. Special
needs to
bit.
feel
I mean,
valuable, right? Right. Like I think that there's a lot of there are bad clients out there, right? They're shitty
sure.
clients, but I
Oh,
also
yeah.
feel like you teach your clients how to interact with you as well, right? And I can control two things: how I interact with people and when I stop interacting with them, right? So like, if there's a shitty client, I have the control to say like, okay, cool, this is where the relationship ends, or if this continues, I'm not going to do this anymore. But I also have the initiative to start the relationships off and maintain them the way I see fit, right? So like for me, this isn't even like a hack thing or like like advice thing. I always want to, and I'm always looking for ways to get on text message basis with my clients as much as possible. Not to be invasive, not to, but like to be able to have an avenue. Like I really strongly believe like the tools you use to communicate really end up dictating the kind of relationships you have. And like I've worked at some studios where no one emails. And I think it's fucking crazy. Like you can't do all of your business on Slack. There are certain things. Hey, this is going to be going on at this time. I want to confirm that you have receipt of this and you read it. Please let me know back. And there's certain conversations that when you have an email, they carry weight and they show that you like actually appreciate that weight. There's other kinds of conversations that like text message is the perfect way to do it. Right? And it's a perfect way to just be able to be casual, like, "Hey, man, I saw this really dope thing. Don't want to interrupt you, but I'm just sending this your way. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And no, it's normally when you go get your coffee. Thought this would be dope. I thought of you when I saw this, sharing it with you." You wouldn't send that over an email, but like you have a different kind of relationship with someone who you text message back and forth with. My hope all the time, because I want to actually understand my clients' real problems. Like I always say, like there's three levels of pitching, right? There's the project that somebody comes to you with. That's normally the easiest thing most people solve for, and they stop there. I'm trying to get to the problem behind that project so I can actually answer the questions 2 to 3 projects down the line so they know I'm thinking that way. But my ultimate goal is to get to the person, right? If it's a triangle, project is where everybody live or is like we're here. Problem some people go up to, and then the person is very rare for people to really spend a lot of time as a creative, as a solo entrepreneur who started off as an artist. EPs, business people, they get that so well. They understand that like the gold is them knowing what I'm into and me knowing what their problems are so that they think of me in a different way, right? And I took a long time getting over that feeling like, oh, it's gross or slimy. And I was like, no, like I really truly love being available for someone. And I think I'm the best for someone the instant they think they have an issue or a problem or a challenge, not at the end. Like I can make something if you tell me to make it. But I think my unique capability is like, hey, we got 50 grand and I got this thing, a billboard. I want to do something that gets me a promotion. Do you got any ideas? And that happens when they think of me before they even know there's a problem, right? They've got something there that's as a person, they have a goal. I want to make my boss's boss feel like they're an artist. How could I do that? Do you have any idea? Is there anything we could do together to do? Those are the kinds of things that I start to try to think about. And that's a relationship. That's not just hire me because my demo reel. I could do that.
But that brings me back to the very beginning of this recording. Is that like I agree 100% with everything you say. The thing is like by today's standards, that sounds almost alien.
Really?
Yeah, like
I feel like it's becoming more and more because here's my thing. I've never been trained to do any of this stuff, so I'm making this up as I go. But I really feel like back to what we were saying at the beginning, almost all of our clients are scared. They've always been scared. That's why, like, that's why clients call you. I could do this, but I'm going to spend more money because I think you could do it better. Fine. Everyone is so scared because they don't even know where the audiences are that they need to go to. They don't know where they don't know who the audience is. They don't know where to go, like where they spend their time, and they don't speak their language. They don't understand what it is they need to say to even get them to remember their service, their product, their technology, their car, their sports team, whatever it might be. So there's just like everyone is looking for something to give them confidence. So to me, The confidence isn't in the final pixel. The confidence is in the like, oh, you've done this before because you've done 20 of these jobs. Tell me how you solved this. How would you approach this if I wait, we should have called you sooner. To me, that's the whole job. And how you make it is important, right? I need to know how it gets made. I need to know what tool gets used. I need to know which artist can do what and how fast. So I'm making sure I'm right sizing it for my client. I'm not selling them something that they can't actually accomplish. But to me, like that's honestly like that's everything now.
Like I said, I agree. It's just that I don't think the majority on both sides of the spectrum are kind of like integrating this into the process. And I think one of the most like kind of like harsh examples of it are agencies. Like agencies are dying. Uh, strategy is dead. Like no, everybody like at some point everybody was selling strategy. You know, strategy for what? I've never seen to be like. I'm gonna say something provocative, but like for all the years I've worked with agencies and clients, and I've seen all those strategy things, like to me, all of them just sounded like common sense and media purchase. And that's all. Like, yeah, it was wrapped in a nice, like shiny box that was called strategy, but there was no fucking strategy in there at all. I mean, at least what I consider being a strategy, you
Mhm,
know? Um, and which leads to the chaos you just mentioned. It's like
mhm.
they want to reach these people. They don't even know who their real audience is anymore. Is it the young ones? Is it like the 30 people? Is it like,
Well, even I
could
mean
it
I
be
mean,
the
the
older
difference now
ones?
is yeah, the difference now is like young ones doesn't mean anything because like there is no monoculture. Right, young ones is like 5,000 different groups. Like, where's the group that's gonna react the strongest to this to then essentially be my street team that's gonna be allowed to all the other groups around them to then read like perfect. I probably should end this because I'm gonna just go on a rant if we don't stop soon. But like perfect example is there's an amazing, amazing movie on Netflix right now called K-pop Demon Hunters. And I know the gentleman whose wife is one of the co-directors. I've been taught by him, and I've talked to him all the time. In like this little group of people, we've been seeing stuff and talking about here. Like this movie could be gigantic, right? Could be gigantic. It's literally like imagine Blackpink and Hellboy together in the like brightest, most ridiculously animated, very anime inspired, high energy with like the best songs you've ever heard in your life. Like instant classics as soon as you hear them, right? But we've known this has been coming. Sony is making it for Netflix, and there was no promotion for this movie. It ended up going streaming only, right? It has been number one for like weeks. Happy Gilmore 2 comes out for a week and a half, goes to number one. It falls down. And unheard of in the history of Netflix, K-pop Demon Hunter is an animated original property, jumps back up to number one. Like if you look at its chart for like viewership, all of them go up and then they have like a decay curve. K-pop is actually a hockey stick. It's actually finding every week it's getting more views than the previous week. It's going up and up and up and up, right? Like no one knows anything at all, right? Like these are people who their entire life, their algorithms, their teams of coders and science, mathematicians, science should be able to predict and see and know this and take advantage of it. They're literally sitting there like, oh, we just made Frozen without even knowing it. What do we do? We can't make toys. We can't make a new series fast. Like, do we get some people to put them on tour singing these songs? The songs are literally hitting Billboard's number one charts. Like, no one planned for it. No one had any idea. And their whole job is to make stuff and know that it's coming. Like, so I just feel like no one knows what is going to be popular, who it's going to be popular for, where it's going to be popular, and then how to get it to those people. Like if Netflix can't figure it out, doesn't understand it. Like there's a need for people like us who find ways to communicate value, communicate ideas, communicate brands, any of that stuff, any of the stuff that we do. If you're saying motion design is animation for advertising, which I think it's more than that, but if you're saying that, like we have so much power, we have so much capability. I just don't think like we use it the way we could. And we could be building trust that we're part of the group of people that can help you do that for now.
Yeah. Again, but this is just my perspective is that it's an industry in which we've given a lot from ourselves, and you know this very well. It's we've given a lot of hours, we've sacrificed a lot, and in at some point, in some moments, it's an industry that gave back also.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think it's like right now, I feel all the potential you mentioned, but I just also feel the fatigue. Not only myself, but like around me. Like from people that has like the talent. There's people that even like left motion design, super talented people that were like, I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. Um, and I think that for that potential to be released, and so again, we come back to trust. And trust is like you said, is like, okay, we might not be using it, but maybe we're not being let using it. You sorry, we're not being let to use it. Yeah, better.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not talking specifically about gatekeeping and that, but it's just like I do believe like some old habits uh take a long time to die. And I think that when those long habits will die, then maybe the true potential that you're mentioning now might
Yeah.
flourish.
I mean, here I agree to a certain degree with you, but I feel like there's in the industry, there's a lot of lamenting and there's a lot of doomsdaying and there's a lot of saying like, "This sucks." I don't see a lot of, "And then what?" Great. So, what? What are you gonna do? You keep lamenting until you quit and leave and do something else? Or maybe that's just like that's like the core like element of like, I agree that things suck, I see things suck, but I'm just not gonna stop until I can't breathe anymore. And maybe that's stupid, or maybe that's the people pleasing perfectionist in me, but like, cool, we've said it, we've identified it. Now what? Are we going to look inward and be like, what could we be doing differently? What could we be changing? Could we change what we do? Could we change how we talk about ourselves? Could we change what we allow to be done to us? Like at some point, like trust is the same thing as value. It's not something you can ask for. It's it has to be earned, right? I can't walk and be like, "Hi, Augustine, I'm Ryan Summers. Do you trust me?" No. I can't say, "Augustine, hi, I'm Ryan Summers. I'd like $1,000 a day. Will you pay me?" It's like, "No." Right? And I just feel like and the problem is right now what you it like, this is the true in the history of being a creative professional. What you can do today is valued less tomorrow. It's like a car coming off of a fucking, like, dealership lot. Does it suck? You could pay $40,000 for a car, roll it off the street, bring it back tomorrow, and they would only give you $25,000 back for it. Yes, but this is like you are a creative arts professional. This is the story as old as time. This is the circle of life. I worked with 2D animators that refused to even work with a Wacom tablet, not do 3D, and they left without realizing that what's here is transferable to anything. It's transferable to working on a Wacom tablet. It's transferable to working in Flash. You can work in 3D. You could also supervise a bunch of people who don't know what you know here, just because the tool, the output is different. What you have here is so much more valuable than what all these new people coming in who might know a tool or might have an idea of like what a look is supposed to be like. But I'm just not the kind of person that's like really willing to spend a lot of time lamenting about how it could be or
Yeah,
should be.
I wasn't lamenting. I
I'm not talking
was
about you. I'm just saying in the industry, right? I hear a lot
yeah,
of people
yeah.
saying the same thing you're saying, like, it's not as good as it used to be. It's like, yeah, you know what? That was a brief blip in time.
No, 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 for sure. I'm just saying that I also want to see that potential released. Because as you, I can see all the places where art could shine.
Mhm.
Where like
Yeah.
amazing stuff could happen. Um, and it's yeah, again, it's not happening for this kind of like imbalance, like you said, like has always existed. There's been different disruptions and shifts in all the industries through the years. So, and it's still going to happen, and it's going to happen faster and faster,
Yeah.
for sure. Not everybody has the same drive to keep on banging their head against the wall until the wall breaks,
Yep.
or keep the door open for sure. Um, I'm just saying that I would like those things to become the norm.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
I think the yes answer is yes, and I think we have to go out and get it. I don't think it's gonna be given to us. I feel
I
like
know
the
for
the
sure.
value is not gonna be the trust isn't gonna be given to us, but like the opportunity is still there. Like AI is not gonna go away. I'm not gonna talk about what I think about it. It's not gonna go away,
Please
right?
don't.
Like the value of being able to knock an explainer video out of After Effects is not going to increase, right? Like the things you did yesterday are not going to either be worth more or sustain the same value tomorrow, next week, 6 months from now, a year from now. That is unfortunately has always been, if you're in a service industry, I have this problem where people are like a lot of people I've talked to before, it's like, I just want to get paid to do my art. I'm like, cool, show me your art. And like, well, here's my demo. It's like, that's not your art. You got hired to provide a service for someone who had a need. If you want to get paid for your art, that's that is an amazing career. But guess what? There's still a business to that, right? You want people to commission you instead of hire you? Well, then guess what? How do you think Mike Mignola did Hellboy? He struggled for decades finding his voice, developing his style, and created an opportunity where enough people believed in him, trusted him to put him as the lowest guy in the totem pole at Legend Comics, as almost like as a gimme next to like Art Adams and Walt Simonson and Frank Miller. Is like, oh, Mike could be the fifth person in, cool. And then he ran with the opportunity and created something that was purely and wholly only him. Subject matter, graphic design, colors, drawing style, inking, voice, and it became him. It became a thing.
Dude,
And now he's an artist.
I remember when he did like Batman,
Yeah.
and like the uproar that happened. And when I saw the just the I did I even I haven't seen either like the inner part of the content. I just saw
Mhm.
the cover and I was like, What? What
But you
is
know what's
this?
crazy about that though?
What is who is this dude?"
What's so crazy though is that most of his peers said he was the most non-commercial artist to possibly be working in mainstream comics. Everybody that worked with him in Marvel was like, get me off of his book. Inkers didn't want to ink him. Writers didn't want him doing covers. He was like persona non grata. They thought he was a joke. They're like, this is the least commercial thing ever. And it wasn't until he doubled down and leaned into his own weird shit, his library full of like Victorian horror novels and all this weird obsession. He's like, well, I drew this one weird character one day and wrote Hellboy as a commission as a joke. I guess I'll call it Hellboy. And didn't believe in himself enough that he had to have John Byrne write the first story for him because he didn't think he was a writer, right? Like that's a perfect example of like, okay, I think there's like 200 Mike Mignolas of motion design. There's so many people out there that could be getting commissioned to just do the thing that they do different and better than anyone else. But people aren't taking that. People are and I understand all the reasons why. I'm guilty of it myself, but like there are other paths beyond the lamenting the where it is, being part of the fall, being part of the reducing value of just the standard like stuff that comes out. And it's like I forgot who said this. Like I think Brad Bird, who's a Firestone too, of like certain things maybe you shouldn't follow all the time. But he said something about like not everyone is an artist, but everyone could be. Something to the effect when he was talking about Ratatouille, and that was like the point of Ratatouille is like not everybody could be a chef, but anyone could be. And that's what I think is like the beautiful nature of motion design is not everyone who ever walks into touching After Effects is going to be a motion designer, but there's nothing stopping anyone from actually doing it. Anyone could be, right? There's a lot of other industries that have like a lot of levels before you can even get to be a certain thing, right? But like anyone could go to a registered agent, start an LLC, open up a business banking account, and build a website in like 2 days and be like, all right, I'm a business. I got a lot of stuff to learn, but I'm a business. I'm not going to listen to anyone else tell me how to do it. And you have the full opportunity to build your positioning, build your branding, build your profile, put your demo around, and start talking to potential customers. And the playing field is fairly fucking level. And there's no shortage of potential brands and companies that need what only you can do. There's not a lot of industries like that.
Yep, I agree, 100%. It just takes it's always what they say is like the first step is the hardest,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then it's like again, like of course, there's like a lot of learning in the process
Sure.
to get there, but again, it's like build those connections, but and like again, just be yourself.
Mhm.
Like again, to build that trust is just be yourself, and not everybody will like you. That's the normal way of life, how things go. And you're not a
Mhm.
match. That's cool. But the
Yeah.
people you will connect and bond with, that will stick longer
Yep.
than
I
just a
agree.
one shot.
I mean, I'll go back to the very first that I was very lucky to be the first Camograph fireside chat person, and I think I said this before, but I threw my speech away 4 hours, I think, before, like, we got up because I was just talking to so many people and meeting so many people I'd never met before, and it's just this, like, I wanna have a conversation, I don't wanna just tell people my origin story, and I remember I asked 3 questions to the crowd, and I feel like I still ask it all the time to people. I'm like, "Are you where you thought you would be when you got started?" Right? I thought I'd be working at Pixar for 4 years and on a track to being a director at this point. No, I'm not where I thought I would be. That's where I thought, right? It's important to know that. It's important to connect back to that initial impetus of like, I went to school to do X. Who knows? I started using After Effects to make something like Y. I have a hero and I want to be like them, whatever it is, right? And then the second question I asked was like, do you feel imposter syndrome? Because everyone does. And the people who say no are lying to you or a psychopath. But like, like imposter syndrome is like, at best, it can be a friend that you can learn how to be acquainted with, right? But like, that's part of life. You're a working commercial artist. You fill up a blank page every day for money. Get used to it. And I remember my last question was like, "Are you happy?" And I remember people being really pissed off at me asking that. But I'm like, "No, like, are you happy?" Like, because if you're not, you're working in an industry where people are paying you to come up with something to fill up a blank page. You can feel nervous. That's great. That means you care. But like, I don't feel like it's worth being scared in this industry right now or ever because being nervous is one thing. Being scared is a totally different thing. Being scared means I'm gonna have so many things blocking me from maybe gonna have the success I need to fill up that blank page every day that I need to work on why I'm feeling scared and figure out what I can control. So like I can at least allow myself to feel nervous, but have the opportunity to fill that page. And you have right now, I sympathize. I would even say empathize with so many people who feel scared right now because you have so many threat vectors attacking you, right? Like you have every person in the world telling you learn AI or your job's dead, and there's a ton of economic factors. But like you live in a world where everyone else of your potential clients are scared. They want confidence. If you can find a way to actually like generate confidence in yourself and your ability to fill up that blank page, that's when customers show up. That's when clients forge relationships. That's when they call you back. Because like, man, I don't know how you came up with that idea, but I was nervous we weren't going to have anything that would actually work and you did this. Let's do it again.
Yeah, I recently signed a gig where it's for a company it's not in Belgium, it's in another country in Europe. And they reached us because they saw another film we did. And they reached us, they're like, "Yeah, like, we want the same thing." And we told them like, "Yeah, we can't do the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't. But we can do other stuff." Uh, okay, and in the beginning they were like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, but make something really close to it because that's why we were reaching you. It's because we saw this and we thought it was great." And I started digging on what, like, okay, you want a movie, you want a video, great. What do you want to talk about?
Mhm.
And first they will tell you like, "Yeah, this is a brand movie." Okay, that's just top level. But what and then I keep on thinking like, okay, but what are the values you want to communicate? Like who you are as a company, like what do you align with? Like you're making this product for all these sectors. Do you really want to push forward all of them? Or
Mhm.
can we focus on one?
Right.
Oh no, we can focus on one. Oh, that's
Mhm.
great. And and kept on digging and we literally, I wrote up a concept for like a brand movie that's going to be probably 2 minutes long.
Mhm.
It's almost like a mini film.
Mhm.
Um, with the main character talking to the camera with like a, like the whole performance of the actor is like super important, but it's like it's this whole like this character is going to be telling you a story, you
Mhm.
know, and it's like in the end it's completely different from what they reached us for.
Mhm.
But I wrote the concept taking into account all the things that I digged in there, and they were like super excited.
Mhm.
And we warned them like, yeah, you just need to know that for to be able to like make this happen, you will need a certain amount of budget.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, can you quote that? Because if we don't have enough,
Yeah,
I will cut down over here and I will take
exactly.
over there, but we will make it work because we really, really like the story.
I mean,
And
dude,
they were
that
literally pumped, like
yeah. I mean, you're doing everything. That's a great summary of a story because you're basically summarizing everything we said, right? Like you were being a friend, not an acquaintance. You were being a partner, not a vendor. You know that there's a person who has something that they want to solve for that's more important than the individual project brief that was given to you, right? You discovered the problem. Oh, they told me they want me to just remake the thing that was there. But what did we do that first time? What was the process? I think like one of the number one tips I have to jam after I say this, but like the number one tips I can give you based on what we said is like if you are looking or struggling to build trust in audiences, to be thought as a leader or whatever, spend way less time talking about outputs. Spend all your time talking about inputs. What are your interests? What are the things that we are bringing into this project? What are my previous experiences telling me? What are your previous jobs? What are we inputting? And when you talk on LinkedIn, when you talk to your friends, when you talk to peers, when you talk to clients, don't focus so much on the things that are like already figured out. Don't talk about the outputs about, oh, it's going to be this or it's going to be this many minutes or you have this much money and it's for get them to fall in love with the dream by being a partner, not a vendor. And then I always, my whole career, I've been amazed every time, and I have to remind myself, the money is almost always there if you can get them to buy in on the dream. I say this all the time, like they have a need. I need to make a video and it should cost us so much money and it needs to be done by this time. Behind that is a want. And that's what you're talking about. By being a vendor or by not being a vendor, by being a partner, by them trust you because of what you did before, you're able to get to the want. God, I need this video to be done, but I want this. I want a movie, a thing that feels like a movie. And when they say, I want you to just do what you did last time, what you're able to translate for them is like, well, last time you needed this, but what you really wanted was this cinematic experience. And I'm not going to do it the same way. It's going to be the same thing. But what you want now is even more of that. Let's go figure out what that is together. And that's trust, right? That's at the
yeah,
end of the day, we came down to an hour and a half later with a minute to spare. Like you demonstrated, like that's what trust is. You're able to say, I know I hear what you need. Can we give me? I say this all the time. My number one thing that I always ask is like, do I have permission to just ask for a couple of minutes where we can just talk about what we want versus what we need? Do we have, can I ask for permission to have 10 minutes to just put everything aside? We know what the requirements are. Let's just put it aside and be like, could we, if we did this, what would it be like if, who are you jealous of? What would make you so stoked that you could go and get a promote? Like just create space like that. Those are those moments that create trust. Those are the moments that get people texting you at like this morning with me and a client, 7:45 in the morning with a crazy idea that would be $100,000 more on the project. If we could do this, do you think we can make, I could probably get some more money if we could show me how I could take this to my boss and we could get the, just like what you're talking about. That's trust.
very nice way to close and
You
to
did
land
it.
the plane.
You landed the plane.
Um, Ryan, as always, a pleasure to have you on board.
Good prompt. We filled up an hour and a half.
And I will have to cook for a couple of months another topic.
Yeah, that sounds good. Just please, just anything other than AI. Anything other. I was so scared that that's what you were going to say. So
No, are you
thank you
nuts?
for a
Like
much more,
I've
a
been
much more
avoiding that
interesting.
topic like the plague. There's no
Yeah.
way I would have reached you to talk about that.
Thank you. Thank you. You know me too well. All right. I got to hop. I got somebody waiting for me, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Take care.
See you.